Yes, hello everyone and welcome to all our West Australian football fans to another edition of Around the WAFL, your go-to WAFL podcast in season 2024. We're hot off the heels of round 16. Three big games that had massive permutations in the race for the finals. We're going to review them all for you today here on Around the WAFL. Plus, as part of Young Guns Week, we've got South Fremantle young gun Caden Harbour, who had another good game this weekend against Subiaco. Paul Persick is here alongside Ethan Roth. Rothy, three big games as part of the round this past weekend, and the finals race still pretty much open.
It is open. 6 teams running into it, Paul, and plenty of things to learn out of the weekend, and really impressive, and really keen for Young Guns Week as well.
And also as well, not just Young Guns Week, big news out of the weekend. Waffle Wonderland's back for one final hurrah in round 18 to the People's Derby at Freo Oval.
Great to see it back. It's been a very popular concept, so bring it on.
It's going to be off the charts in round 18. East Fremantle taking on South Fremantle on August 3rd. Make sure you get your tickets for that. You do not want to miss it. This is Around the WAFL, your go-to WAFL podcast in 2024. Here's how you can win big.
Punt from 50, win. Little too into the game, win. Too cocky, almost a win. Risking it all for the glory, win. It's win-win at the WAFL. Great footy, food and entertainment. Find out more at waffle.com.au.
Well, big winners over the weekend were South Fremantle to the tune of over 7 goals ahead of Subiaco this past Saturday, and that gets them back into the fight for the double chance after losing 3 of their previous 4 games. And they've got some great young characters in that side, Rothy. One of them is Caden Harbour. He's been in some good form over the last month or so, and he joins us here on Around the WAFL. Good morning, Caden. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Oh, great to have you here, Caden. It was a great win by the boys. And what's the thrill like to play not only with some of your fellow young guns for South Fremantle, but also some of the legends of the club like Dylan Main, Hayden Schloith, and also Tom Blenchenden?
It was a great win. Firstly, it was a huge week for the club, and I think it was just awesome getting on top, especially after the few months we've had. But playing alongside, firstly, my best mates is just something I never could cherish forever. Coming to training every day, every week with them, it's awesome. And then coming up against players like Dylan, Hayden, Izzy Winder, those boys' Parks, something I learn something new every week. So yeah, it's awesome.
Obviously, coming over from East Perth in the recent years to South Freo, have you found, I guess, the continuity of playing, in that forward line, and not only that, but also contributing?
Yeah, well, it's taken me a year and a bit to actually fully crack into this side. I guess learning all the players, and it's all new stuff, new concept, new coaches. But at the moment, I think we found form and just something together, being able to hold each other together and hold each other accountable for things. And now at the moment, I reckon I find it awesome, fun, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're certainly enjoying yourself out there along with your teammates. That really is, considering what your club has had to deal with over the last few months with the loss of a lot of legends, also Nick Campo recently. It really, makes your team a lot stronger. It really gels you together a lot better.
Definitely. Just the support within the whole club, and the community, not even just this senior group, the Colts players, and going the board, everyone there is just awesome. Yeah.
And a huge game against the Swans this week. They've obviously been in some really good form, so you guys must be really keen for that, especially at this later stage of the year where you're obviously trying to lock yourself in for finals.
Definitely. Last time we played them, they kind of embarrassed us a little bit. They just ran over us over the top of us, and that was all on that John Todd game as well. So yeah, we weren't too happy with it. No one really was, and wasn't really the style we played. And it's good to have us at home this week. See how we go, but it will be a really good game.
Just turning back to last weekend against Subiaco, it really was a great team performance, especially in the last quarter. Subiaco, they kept coming at you. They were using the ball a lot well, and then you really turned it on and overran the lines in the last quarter, 7 goals to 2. What was that message at three-quarter time when Subi were still closing in and still keeping in touch?
The message overall was just we're fitter in the end. And we definitely wanted it more all game. And that goes out towards all our coaches. S&C, they really pushed us in the pre-season, and it's helped us a lot because we're really good second half and we're able to run over games. And, I think that's really the overall message. We were fitter. We just had to get it done.
You certainly proved so. They did get it done against Subiaco, and it was a massive win. Gets you back into the fight for the double chance, and a great win, and certainly one that certainly is going to, build the rest of the season for South Fremantle.
Yeah, it was one of the best team games I reckon we've played all year, and it starts from even warming up. I think me and Manfred Kelly were down in the change rooms dancing, pumping music up loud. So, I don't know, we just get the team up and about, and that's what happens. So maybe we have to keep that tradition.
Yep.
What about it? What about the music? If I may ask, what sort of music does the team dance to just to pick themselves up? Is it a bit of pop, bit of rock, bit of metal, bit of rap, or anything like that?
We have a huge variety, but Easy Winder and Matty Parks love to get on the speaker and play a bit of rap, 50 Cent, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, fantastic.
And we get up and about with it. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic stuff. That really gets the team going. Just get them up and about, get them moving, and get the morale, at a very good level before a big game. I reckon that's something that all the teams maybe would have to adapt to, like a compulsory music playlist. Caden, we love your work out on the field. It was a great performance by your boys against Subiaco on the weekend. All the best for a massive game against Swan Districts at home. Thanks very much for your time on Around the WAFL. All the best.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
That was Caden Harbour joining us here on Around the WAFL. He is a great character, isn't he? And that's what the competition really needs. And I tell you what, that's magnificent, isn't it? The teams, they get a good playlist, they get up and about, the blood's flowing, and they're pumped up for a game. I think that's a novel way of, getting the morale of the team up for a big game.
For sure, and yeah, Caden is a character, to say the least. Had him on the Brain Ethan podcast back in 2021 when he was in the 18s program and at East Perth, and even just hearing the interview there, I feel like he's a lot more confident. Maybe as that second home has really, made him a better person as well. He was a great person obviously before, but just in terms of being more comfortable and having more opportunity. And that sort of thing. So, he's a character, and, who knows? AFL still could be on the horizon for him in the coming years.
It could come calling. I first discovered him in the reserves when he was playing the WA Day Derby at the WACA last year, and, you could realise that just based on how he plays the game, how hard he attacks the football, even in driving wet conditions as it was that day at the WACA, that there is going to be a talent that's going to blossom in the future, because he's had to persevere, playing in reserves while waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah, and also, from memory, he didn't start playing footy until he was about 16, 17 years of age. Quite late, he had a rugby background and that sort of thing, so he's quite adaptable, and he's still relatively new to the game, I feel.
But he's certainly making a big difference. Only 13 games, and such a big impact he's been able to create around the club and the WAFL competition. All the best to him ahead of that big game against Swan Districts, which we'll preview on Thursday. What a huge game that is going to be. But if you want to check out some great WAFL merch while making your way to the game, you can check it out right here on this website. Introducing the WAFL Merch Shop, your ultimate destination for all things WAFL. From jerseys to scarves to caps, show your support for the WAFL in style. Grab exclusive merchandise now and gear up to cheer louder than ever before. Visit shop.wafl.com.au today and let your passion shine. Shop.wafl.com.au. Rothy, those things are selling as quick as a Lamborghini through the Mitchell Freeway, mate. It is absolutely unbelievable. If people are not wearing their WAFL merch, something's wrong.
Yeah, I'd love to see it, especially as we drift towards finals as well. I reckon people will be out wearing them in numbers.
Let's get to the games for round 16. Only 3 games this weekend, Rothy, in East Perth. By gee, were they lucky. 45 points up they were against Perth early in that last quarter, and Perth came steaming home with a 6-0 final term, only to fall short by 7 points.
Yeah, well, I think East Perth just having those lapses in games, obviously a win's a win, but 7 points, they would have liked to put Perth away. Credit to Perth, though. They do often, as we keep saying week to week, they do challenge sides, they just push them. Left their run a bit late. I know Jed Kemp kicked a late goal to get them within 7 points. But, yeah, it wasn't to be for them. But yeah, a little bit of a concern for East Perth, whether they thought they had it done in the bag.
That's 3 times now. 3 times that they've led comfortably only to blow that lead and put themselves at risk of losing the game. You had it against Subiaco. They did get it done by a goal. Against South Fremantle, also by a goal. And then now against Perth, okay, they're getting good starts, but I'm not going to say that there's complacency, but, there's that lack of a 4-quarter game. I think it's the pressure as well, that getting close to the season, wins are crucial heading into the finals. They're on top spot of the ladder. They want to keep it, but they can't keep taking their foot off the gas in the last quarter when they've got this comfortable lead. Keep in mind, they've got Claremont next. They can't be slipping up.
Yeah, you wonder how they're addressing it post-game, what the mood in the rooms is like. Obviously sing the song, they've won their game, but at the same time, is it a bit like, did we get away with one sort of thing? So, yeah, mindset is something that's coming into it. And, yeah, I think East Perth, they want that double chance. They want to make sure of it because we know your chance of winning a flag, whether people want to admit it or not, significantly increase if you have the double chance.
Absolutely. The premiership chance really increases if you finish in that top 3. Ross McQueen, I think, he'd be happy with the win, but I don't think he'd be too pleased about the finish. He senses that there's still a lot of work to do with this side, and they've got to be a lot better than what they were on Saturday, let me tell you that. But a real big positive was the true East Perth midfield in those 3 quarters. Schumacher saw plenty of the football, Mitch Crowder did, and in his return, Hamish Brayshaw as well. He missed a couple of weeks with injury, but he came back into the fold and showed that he's lost no spring in his step. He had 8 inside 50s, 9 marks to go with his 27 disposals, as effective as anything. He really threw down the hammer, no pun intended, but he was magnificent, Hamish Brayshaw, in his comeback.
Yeah, coming up against his best mate, Charlie Constable, who had 31 as well, 6 marks, and, they're significantly boosted by his return from a Perth point of view. But, yeah, hammer back, we know he's had an interrupted year, but as he said to us earlier on the year, he'd rather contribute less, but the team's winning more. He's got that team mentality. He's
Real
got
team-orientated person,
accolades
yeah.
now. So, yeah, he's a very selfless person. So, East Perth, they come away with the win. Interesting, Perth, they actually dropped a couple of youngsters for this game, which I wasn't too sure about. Elijah Scoble and Noel Cashad. Obviously, it's a long year. These guys are playing their first year of senior footy. It does take its toll, but I think they're the way of the future. Did they need to be dropped? I mean, maybe their form hasn't been the greatest.
Look, only the coach and players can answer that themselves. But, if we were to answer that, it's a bit of a 50-50. Okay, maybe just get them a few more mileage in the reserves. But also, you've got to experiment with team balance. And I think that's what Perth have been doing for most of this year, trying to get the best team balance out there. But then again, you're still dealing with star players battling injuries. Case in point, Sam Simpson and Josh Edwards, who sustained broken ribs a few weeks ago. So I think the team balance is pretty much fluent as far as Perth are concerned, bringing players in and out of the side.
Yeah, I mean, it's they let you know that it's not a free ticket into the team. No matter who you are, you still have to earn your spot, and there will be players coming up from the reserve. So it does put selection pressure on, which is a positive out of it.
No doubt about it. Despite the loss, Perth will certainly take big positives out of that game. But East Perth, they got the points in the end, but only just to the tune of 7 points at Sullivan Logistics Stadium, and they're back on top of the ladder. Second game for round 16, and really tense this one out there. I was on the call for this one at Pentanet Stadium for the AFL app, and you could feel the tension in the air. No love lost between West Perth and East Fremantle, and in the end, it was a 3-goal burst by Jed Hagan that got the job done for the reigning premiers to the tune of 16 points, 11-10 to 9-6, and it's 3 wins in a row for the Sharks. They're rolling along towards the double chance.
Yeah, he's a star, Jed Hagan. To be honest, he should be in the AFL. If it wasn't for it's his size. Like, let's face it, it's been somewhat made public that's why he's not there, and he just continues to prove the critics wrong with bobbing up with goals, working well in that forward line with your power forwards and John O'Marshes and that sort of thing. So, East Fremantle maybe would have liked more than a 16-point win with the talent they had on the park, but at the same time, a win is a win, and Hagan was ice cool under pressure.
And he needed to be. Needed to be because West Perth kept coming at East Fremantle. East Fremantle, they just made sure that they were able to seal the deal in that last quarter. But in those first 3 quarters, they didn't make it easy on themselves because, they were wasting a little bit of the football, not making the most of their chances. They were inaccurate early in the last quarter, but when it was time to really finish it off, they really got it done through the likes of Jed Hagan. Keep in mind that they were without Dylan O'Reilly. He was a late tactical out, and Zachary Rankin took his place. Didn't have a lot of the football, did Zach Rankin, but it still made no difference to the potency of that East Fremantle forward line. John O'Marsh kicked another 2 goals. As we said, Jed Hagan kicked 3 in the last quarter and 4 for the game. And Ben Maguire shifted up forward and kicked 2, providing some more great depth in that East Fremantle forward line. And the Falcons' back line had no real answer, especially in the second half.
Yeah, I feel like both teams took their chances, though. There's some great goals. I think of an Aaron Black snap a banana on the run to sort of get them back into it.
Got them by within a point at halftime.
Yeah, so I feel like it was a really good game to watch in trying conditions, in the winter that we're in. So, yeah, I thought another thing for West Perth, I thought Sprigg held his own in the ruck as well as a youngster.
No, you're absolutely right. 24 hit-outs to go up against Lockie Blackiston, who also is blossoming into a fine ruckman over his 9 games so far, and his follow-up work rated very, very highly. I thought he was one of West Perth's best on Saturday. 23 disposals, 24 hit-outs, as you said, 4 inside 50s, and he was able to put on 3 tackles as well, so he's not afraid to put his body on the line. For a big ruckman, he's not even the number 1 ruckman in the side at the moment. That was Brock Carter, but he's out for the rest of the season with a knee injury, so he really shouldered the responsibility of that number 1 ruck duty for West Perth on Saturday.
Yeah, well, that's what you want. You want sort of someone coming in, one soldier out, another soldier in, as cliche as that sounds, that aggressive player, because who knows, if it only takes one good performance to sort of get another opportunity for the following week. And I think he'd be stiff to be dropped for the following game, but obviously Brock Carter, if he's back, there'll have to be a wait and see where they can play too. There is a very tall team when you consider Keitel in there as well. So bit of a wait and see in there, but I think it's a positive that you can have someone of that nature come in and do a job.
One soldier out, one soldier in, as you said, and they're trialling out a lot of youngsters as well, West Perth. It's a rebuilding year, but when you look at their performance on the field, okay, they didn't get smashed, they remain competitive, but they did have a genuine chance of winning, but their disposal, especially in defence, let them down. They wasted the ball a lot in their back half, conceded turnovers, and that often led to East Fremantle able to kick easy goals, or if West Perth turned it over on their forward line, East Fremantle seamlessly made the transition from defence into attack without any sort of direct challenge from the West Perth players. So their disposal and their basics really let the Falcons down, especially when it mattered.
I think they're one key defender, solid key defender short. Peguero can only do so much. Obviously, they lost Wilhelm over the off-season.
That's right.
And I think we're chatting off air and saying that West Perth, they do back their local talent in a lot, which is fantastic to see, but they've never been a huge club in terms of recruiting. Obviously, I know Connor West came back to the club, and, you've got a Brock Carter, so there has been a couple, but interesting to see how they go about things over the off-season, if they can be aggressive and bring in a couple more key position mature players.
For West Perth as well, it's their 8th straight loss, their worst run since 1979, where they lost 10 in a row. So not usual for West Perth to be at such a low ebb and have a big losing run as well, but they are in a rebuilding phase, and their young talent's really providing a huge positive, but a wasted chance on Saturday. As for East Fremantle, they're still in with a chance of reaching the top 3. Even with the 4-point penalty they had at the start, they're playing some great football and at the right time as well when they looked a bit stuttery mid-season.
Yeah, you feel like they're getting a real sense of the occasion. They have to go at all costs, and every game is almost an 8-point game, really, for them. And yeah, as we said, the difference between top 3 and top 5, it's I believe it's very, very hard to win a premiership outside the top 3. And this is tight competition that is. Not saying it can't be done, but they can still a bit hard to read, a bit patchy here and there, but nonetheless, a win is a win, and they'll bank it and move forward from here.
No doubt about it. 16-point winners, East Fremantle, their 3rd in a row, and they keep their hopes of the double chance alive. And then we go to the final game of round 16, South Fremantle and Subiaco over at Fremantle Oval. A huge win to South Fremantle to the tune of 7 goals. It erases their slump. They've now, they'd lost beforehand 3 of their last 4, and then they got back on track with this win over Subiaco Rothy. It was a statement that South Fremantle needed to make if they want to stake their claim for a double chance, because that final 5 is very, very close. And there was only one headline to sum up that day at Fremantle Oval. It was the Hayden Schleutz show, no doubt about it. 32 disposals and 5 goals. And the old boy still has it.
King Schloeth, yeah, and I think that's a bit of a trend at the moment, in a lot of footy. I think these veterans, drifting forward, contributing on the scoreboard. We've seen Dylan Main do it more on a permanent basis, and that could be Schloeth if he was to go for another year or two. It'd be a luxury to have in that forward line.
He could even play on a walking frame. That's how good Hayden Schloeth is. I mean, undeniably, man, age is just a number, and you can't stop him. You just cannot stop him.
It was fitting as well on the siren. He's so accurate as well, so reliable. And this game was sort of neck and neck for a large part of it. But then, South Fremantle, as they've done, they've really run over the top of teams. Those second halves are proving one of their strengths.
Very good finishing side they are.
They are with, they're young, they're very energetic.
And Caden Harbour pointed this out as well. Not only young, energetic, but also they're a lot more fitter side than they were last year. I mean, honestly, there are a lot of players that, they couldn't really get it done in the last quarter when it was on the line. But look at the way South Fremantle finished. I mean, 7 goals to 2. You talk about impressive. It goes to show how fit this team is at this point this year compared to last year.
Yeah, for sure. And, as Caden said, the strength and conditioning, big credit to them. A lot of work over the off-season, a lot of Ks in the legs. So, it's proving a difference to this back half of the year.
Especially when they got some big bodies in that side. Case in point, the Stroms. Dylan Main, who kicked another 2 goals too from his 10 kicks. Glenn Byron down back had 18 disposals, a handy contributor. Isaiah Winder again. I mean, this man is going to be a smoky for the Sandover. 33 disposals, another vintage performance. 8 tackles as well and 5 inside 50s. He seems to be involved in a lot of these contests. He's a good inside and outside midfielder, and he's proving so once again. I reckon he could take some votes in the Sandover.
Yeah, you just wonder if Stards are putting enough time into him because, in the past it's just been sort of a Hayden Schloeth, but now they've got a mix of midfielders, Bletchin in there who's a running best and fairest. So, there's proving headaches to not just one of them, but 3 or 4 of them. And I thought, Jacob Wine on debut didn't look out of place as well. Did some nice things.
Absolutely.
I think that's their 8th Colts player in the last couple of years who's come through and made a league debut. Guys like Ferreira coming up and O'Hare in the past. Chase Bourne, another one of those. So these youngsters, it's a credit to their development and their local talent. South Fremantle, be wary of them. I think.
Oh, yeah.
We know they've had a little bit of recent struggles, but I think they're coming good. And, sometimes those recent struggles can be a beneficiary, a bit of a kick up the backside you need.
And they've handled, what they've had to deal with over the last couple of months so well. Obviously, not just the recent tragedy of Nick Campo, losing Tom Grilicic, former player Cam McCarthy, and also an all-time legend in John Todd. They've banded together so brilliantly and have taken some great wins on the board and taken great strides as a club, not just through their experienced players, but also their younger brigade as well. Very, very impressive. I also rated Solomon James' game very highly as well. I mean, okay, he was up against an undermanned ruck division in the former Subiaco. Of course, Cody Eaton led that responsibility, but 51 hitouts. Hell of a leap he's got on him, and he's a good, solid tap ruckman. I reckon he's going to go a long way as Solomon James.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a lot of hype about him in the State 18s program, saying, look out for this guy. And I think it's just continuity. He said it either last week or the week before. It's just getting games into him and that continuity from his point of view as well. But, he'll take a lot of confidence out of that. So, yeah, Subiaco as well. I think, as I said, they were in the game. Taj Schofield I thought was impressive with 22 disposals and 2 goals. So, positives for them. I think, we know they're in a bit of a rebuilding stage as well themselves.
They're just lacking some big
not
bodies.
To the length of West Perth, but similar trajectory.
If you want my honesty, they're just lacking some big bodies. They got a lot of, small players in there. A lot of small players that, good running players, but they're just lacking those big bodies. The only real big bodies in that side is basically Ben Sokol and even Cody Eaton and Drew Road. But they're just lacking those as well, and they need those big bodies in there to counter the good running play of sides like South Fremantle, East Fremantle and East Perth. They're just lacking that. Their forward line as well really lacked that counter punch. Jack Mayo and Ben Sokol, they were held to just 1 goal between them. Sokol was well held by the likes of Glenn Byron and Chad Pearson in the back line. Goalless in a game, which is rare. You don't often hold Ben Sokol goalless. He often gets loose and tears it up, but he wasn't able to do so. He only had the 6 touches.
Yeah, well, they've lost like a lot of premiership players and that sort of thing, which is no excuse, but you'd expect Lee Kitchen, not sure if he'll go around next year, so I think they're only going to get younger before they get older. They can recruit, of course. They did some pretty good recruiting over the off-season. Maybe not worked as well as they thought, after reaching a preliminary final last year. So yeah, I'd also just want to tip my hat off to, I guess, both the teams for being out there as well, and South Fremantle obviously, and even just the Colts guys as well to be out there on Saturday. It was a huge effort, and it was
a great crowd.
Yeah,
It was a great crowd
as well. Great support from the whole community. So it was quite emotional day, and credit to everyone involved and all the families.
Absolutely well said there, Rothy. And on the day, it was South Fremantle that got the job done in the end. 7-goal winners against Subiaco, and they're back in the hunt for the double chance.
Punt from 50, win. Little too into the game, win. Too cocky, almost a win. Risking it all for the glory, win. It's win-win at the WAFL. Great footy, food and entertainment. Find out more at waffle.com.au.
Yes, win-win WAFL season 2024, reaching the business end. Get yourselves to a game, especially at this stage of the season. You don't want to miss it, rain, hail or shine. Let's go to the ladder, Rothy, after round 16. Let's pop it up. East Perth on top as a result of their win on Saturday with 40 points. Peel Thunder and Swan Districts on 36 points. Peel Thunder remaining in second because of the percentage. Then comes East Fremantle and South Fremantle making up the 5. Claremont still one win behind. They're not without a chance. And then Subiaco on 16 points, as well as West Coast. And then at the bottom of the ladder on 12 points, West Perth and Perth. That final 5, Rothy, is it set?
I don't think so. I think Claremont would still back themselves. I'm looking at the ladder, and I think 44 points is enough to get you absolutely locked in. If just looking at it, it could be off the mark there, but I think, looking at it, and that 40-44 mark, anything above that would be a bonus. But I think 6 teams in it, and 6 teams who would all back themselves in at this stage.
Absolutely. It's a very close competition, and of course it'll come down to that last round. You better believe it. It is going to come down to the wire. Let's get to the votes, Rothy, for round 16. Starting off, 1 vote. Isaiah Winder from South Fremantle just continues to rack up possessions and be effective as anything. He was sensational. 2 votes in a losing side. Riley Sprigg of West Perth. He held his own in the ruck against Lockie Blackiston. He was magnificent. His follow-up work was a real key in that 16-point loss to East Fremantle, but he made sure that he kept his side competitive in that centre clearance area. 3 votes. Mitch Crowden, back in great form. Bit of a lean patch in the last month, but he saw plenty of the football and created such great ball movement from midfield into attack. 4 votes. He broke the game open in the last quarter. Jed Hagan from East Fremantle. 3 goals in the last quarter, 4 for the game. Hagan really turned himself loose in that forward line. 3 goals really took the game right out of the Falcons, and it was a no-brainer this week. The Around the Waffle top gun of round 16, there was only one man, King Hayden Schleut. What a performance.
Yeah, it's like you don't even have to say it. I mean, even before I saw the votes and stuff, I thought immediately, Hagan and Schleut have to be there. Probably the easiest 5 votes we could ever give out, to be honest.
I would think so. I mean, Schleuthy was just magnificent. And where does that leave Schleut and the Around the Waffle Player of the Year leaderboard? Let's pop it up. Mitch Crowden with the 3 votes jumps back into the lead. It is getting close. 1 vote ahead of Claremont's Ollie Eastland. Jesse Turner of Swan Districts in 3rd. Hayden Schleut leaps up to 4th ahead of Jonathan Marsh, each on 10 votes. Then comes Lockie Blackiston, Lee Coleman, Nathan Wilson, Bryn Teakle, and Isaiah Winder back into the top 10. By G, Ethan, this race for the Player of the Year is going to be down to the wire as well.
Yeah, and I dare say a handful of those players will be vying for the Sandover medal. It's a good point you raised earlier. I think Isaiah Winder is a genuine chance and could be one of the favourites, and he's in our top 10 as well.
No doubt about it. It's been a big season for him, as well as the other 9 players on the leaderboard. That does it for today's edition of Around the Waffle. It's been a big show, Rothy. Looking forward to a big round 17. I'll see you on Thursday.
Absolutely. See you Thursday.
Listeners and viewers, we look forward to your company as well. Round 17 is drawing ever closer for massive games in the context of the race for the finals. Make sure you tune in on Thursday. We'll have a big preview of that, and Peel Thunder's Joel Brown, only playing his 4th game this weekend as part of Young Guns Week. He's going to join us as well. We look forward to your company then.